Okay. This is an interview with Daniel Fox on Sunday, November 29th, 2009 at the home of Steve and Ann Landman on Glade Park in Colorado. Dad, I want to ask you some questions and tell me the first thing that comes to your mind and try and restrict your answer to the question without rambling too much, okay? Some of them lend themselves to rambling, but try and stick to the question, okay? What is your earliest memory?
The earliest memory, for me, the Holocaust in Europe, reading about Hitler in the newspapers, which came to our house.
Now, you were born in 1928, right?
1929, August 28.
1929.
1929.
So, but do you remember, now let's see, that was probably what, 1944, 45?
The war.
Or was that not in the 1930s?
I have some memories of the 30s.
And that's the earliest memory from your childhood?
My earliest memory, one of my earliest memories is I think it was the 1932 or 1933 earthquake.
Oh, where?
I lived on 4th Avenue in Los Angeles near Jefferson. I remember feeling the tremor and running out of the house at the direction of my mother.
Wow.
There was an aviary of yellow birds, canaries next door. There must have been hundreds of them in this cage, and they all fell strangely silent. Probably that is my major early memory.
Wow. I never remember hearing about that. Okay. What invention came about in your lifetime that most impressed you?
You know, that's a hard one, but the radio. As a child, I loved to listen to the radio, and particularly adventure stories like The Lone Ranger. And I loved the music at the beginning and the endings of the broadcasts.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say yes, radio.
Radio. Now, do you remember your grandparents?
I certainly do. I saw my maternal grandparents over a fairly long period of time, of the 30s and 40s. And I remember that they were from Boston. They both spoke Yiddish primarily to each other, but English to the rest of us.
Grandma's parents spoke Yiddish?
Grandma Fox's parents spoke Yiddish
to each other?
Yes.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And on my father's side, I didn't know them very well because they lived in Rochester, New York.
Uh-huh.
I visited them when I was 8 years old in 1937. But I remember what they looked like vividly from that time.
So your mother spoke Yiddish as well?
My mother did not speak Yiddish. Her parents spoke Yiddish.
But she didn't pick it up from her parents?
It was used only as a secret language to keep things from the children.
Well, that's interesting. And the kids never figured it out?
No.
No.
I didn't know until 10 or 20 years ago that I would be invited to learn Yiddish from teachers in fairly near me.
Wow. What have you done in your lifetime that you're most proud of?
Fight for equality between people and play the violin.
That's good. What would you say is your biggest accomplishment in your lifetime?
3 wonderful wives and 4 lovely grandchildren. And I've pleased myself with a lot of violin playing and a lot of taking part in political and economic demonstrations.
Okay. What advice do you have for me in my life?
Well, you're a very serious person and you're pursuing a serious life. You seem to know what ideas are important and what are to be, not have time wasted on them. You're doing a good job on the question of religion and atheism. I'm very proud of you. Did I answer the question?
What advice do you have for me in my life?
Keep on doing what you're doing. Be very wise about whether or not you go to law school.
Do you have different advice for your other kids?
No.
Keep doing what they're doing too?
Well, Paul could be a little more political, but he seems to be doing well in his chosen profession of medicine. Sheila looks like pretty much a standard, well-accomplished commercial law partner. I think she should get more socially and politically involved. In the same way with Marty, I hope he gets a job or launches himself more firmly into his profession and pursues it seriously, if he can.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us, tell the world, that you've been wanting to say?
I have taken enormous satisfaction from my children. At times they've had more guidance from their mothers than from me, and I think their mothers have done a marvelous job. So no.
Do you have any big regrets in your lifetime? If you could go back and do one thing over, what might it be? What would you change?
Oh, I think probably if I could have one long marriage instead of 3, that would have required being smarter about how to love and deal with women.
That's pretty honest. Okay. That's our interview. Anything you'd like to add?
No.
Okay, thanks for doing it, Dad. Appreciate it. I learned some...
You're never going to get a master's degree out of that. You have to make it longer and...
I'm not doing it for a master's degree.
Okay. Yeah.